from Mediaite. Charlie Kirk's producer torches unrepentant liar Jimmy Kimmel over his comeback monologue. My friends, this is actually astounding. Jimmy Kimmel did not apologize. In fact, I would describe it as tripling or quadrupling down. And the reason why is it's a 28-minute monologue where he doesn't apologize. He attacks Trump. He insults me. He insults you. Mm-hmm. He claims that the only issue, or I should say that he accentuates a particular issue as if to imply, once again, that the reason he was taken down was because Trump can't take a joke.
The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. He was somehow able to squeeze Colbert out of CBS.
Fake.
Then he turned his sights on me.
Fake.
And now he's openly rooting for NBC to fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and the hundreds of Americans who work for their shows who don't make millions of dollars. And I hope that if that happens, or if there's even any hint of that happening, you will be 10 times as loud as you were this week. Yeah. We have to speak out against this.
He did not apologize. He could have, and it would have been very easy, but he won't. And the point that I brought this up when I was on Jesse just a moment ago. The only thing that we can discern as to why Disney brought him back, the affiliates, even just before we went live, Nexstar said, no, we ain't bringing him back. I couldn't even watch it last night. I was in bed. I pulled up, first I tried YouTube TV. Nope, because Sinclair owns the streaming rights. Just all broadcast and streaming rights are combined. And so I tried all the streaming services. I even tried going to ABC's website, and it's got a lock symbol on it. It wouldn't let me do it. I had to wait until someone else watched it and re-uploaded it because it's shut down. Advertisers are still upset. Sinclair says the temperature's not brought down, and now the tensions are inflamed. So why did ABC bring him back? Well, I said it the other day. I'll say it again. A guy shot up one of their stations. And so, like terrified individuals in the crossfire, they said, Jimmy, we'll do anything you say. How did Jimmy respond? It's Trump who was coming after me. Trump did this without an apology. He didn't. You know what he could have said? And this is what's really terrifying. He could have simply said to those who felt, we do have a great sponsor. It is Home Title Lock. My friends, go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code TIM. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code. You want to pull that up, Serge? And let's get it. If you're a homeowner, you got to hear this. Today's AI and cyber world, we're just talking about that. Scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans against loans using your equity, or even sell your property, and you won't even know it happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. So when's the last time you guys checked your home title? If your answer is never, then maybe you should consider looking into that. This is why we're working with Home Title Lock. We're proud to have them sponsor the show. So you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use promo code TIM at HomeTitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Once again, it's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code TIM. The craziest thing is, I was looking into this because I was like, wow, that's like kind of freaky. It has been skyrocketing. This is like one of the go-to frauds been happening for in the past several years. So thank you, Home Title Lock. Shout out. I was implying the shooter was a Trump supporter. I did not mean to do that, and for that, I apologize.
He kind of did. But he didn't say the word, I'm sorry, but people, false prophets, they'll use words that without the emotion, without the meaning behind it. If you can say I'm sorry and not mean it. He cried on camera for like a minute.
He does that all the time.
I mean, it was we could play it and let people decide for themselves.
Ian, with all due respect, I hear what you're saying. Marty, are you married?
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten into an argument with your wife?
No, never.
Remember?
Never. No.
When you're in an argument with her and she's mad at you for something you did, and you know you did something wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if you looked at her and said, "I understand"?
It depends on.
Everybody listening right now is looking at their wives going like, right.
Yeah.
When you do wrong, and it's not about just your wife, but your husband, or you're in an argument with someone and you know you did wrong and they're upset at you for it. And instead of saying, look, I'm sorry, you just go, I understand why you're mad.
Worse than that's similar to saying, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Which has got to be the worst thing you could
Look, I get where
ever
you're
do
coming
in an
from.
argument.
Right,
You know, that's essentially what I think Jimmy Kimmel did last night. Is he's like, I'm sorry that people feel this way.
But he lied again.
No, he lied.
Yeah.
He
Because
100%
because
lied.
the issue was not Trump being mad. It was that the affiliates and the advertisers felt the heat from everyone in this country who said, a man just died. Can you please not? And Jimmy said, I'm going to use this to go after Trump and get millions of views.
You know, I think a real apology, you said words can be facetious, but is just to be a better person, is to not make the mistake again. That's a real apology.
They're not capable of that with what they do. They're not. He's not capable. There's too much money to be made in the monologues that cover this. The ratings that have plummeted on these shows, which of course are now up again because of all of this controversy, they have made their entire market share for these late night shows about Trump. We were talking last week, like, what would it be if these guys just came out and did monologues? Look, there's news every day that you can make stuff about. There's actual content creators who are covering this stuff. Did you see the horrible joke that Robert De Niro made about the Tylenol and the autism? That was not, it was just really bad in this monologue. Well, he does a thing where Robert De Niro plays the FCC chair, right? And the problem is when you're politically brained and you have a side that you've picked and you don't have any understanding of how people perceive current events, you can't be funny, especially when you're running it through 100 writers and has to go through legal and all these things. It's the other reason he lied, and that you know that it was a lie because it was weasel words, because that what he said last week when he says that they were trying to paint the shooter as anything other than MAGA, that passed through 100 writers in a legal department before it came out, and it was phrased in a way to give them some sort of plausible deniability.
He didn't retract that statement, which
Exactly.
is the only statement that we were complaining about. Plus, but here's my other thing is, if Trump is such an authoritarian, and he doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on being an authoritarian dictator, Jimmy would not be back.
Yeah.
Like this, where's the power? Where's the authoritarian power? Where's the rioting on the right when something bad happens? Where are the people boarding up their windows of their stores? It's because we don't do that. And Trump is not an authoritarian. If it was Xi Jinping in China, there'd be a whole different thing happening with Jimmy Kimmel right now. He would actually understand what he's accusing Trump of being.
My take on this, what happened with Brendan Carr, who's the FCC chair, went on Benny Johnson's show and mentioned Jimmy by name and then said, we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. And then the next day, the affiliates pulled. That felt like a fascist, evil act that produced order. I mean,
this is what the left preys upon, because the actual reporting said advertisers and affiliates. So the question is, for what pressure did advertisers feel? The FCC is not going to go to the advertisers. It was actually backlash from regular people. It's unfortunate because the FCC became the excuse for the left to turn it into Orange Man bad once again.
I don't know. The FCC head mentioned Jimmy by name, said easy way or hard way, and then the next day he's off the air.
Do you know how many? Do you know what percentage of stations are owned by Nexstar and Sinclair?
No.
23%.
Yep.
So how come the rest of the affiliates didn't budge? Also, Nexstar and Sinclair haven't backtracked. Why did they bring Jimmy back?
It sounds like Nexstar is a minority and that they were the ones that budged.
Let me just ask you again.
You realize these are public airways. It's like a public park.
That's a whole other discussion.
But Ian, if the FCC was the reason why Jimmy was pulled by ABC, why did they bring him back with the advertisers on their position being unchanged?
Well, there's a huge backlash from the populace.
So
which populace?
Yeah,
people screaming about Jimmy Kimmel free speech.
So the popular vote winner, Donald Trump, who has more than half of the support of this country, or let's just call it 50-50. So why would Disney put themselves in a position where they are not only on the opposite side of half the country, but also advertisers? Leave the affiliates aside. My point is this. Everyone wants to make it about the FCC. Conservatives are so easy to trick, it's laughable. Okay, the FCC, I do think it's fair to say, played some form of a role here because that pressure is visible. But the reporting doesn't show that, and we'd be speculating to make that assumption. I do think it's fair to make the assumption. However, it's logic, right? But at the end, they brought Jimmy back. Okay, well, the affiliates haven't changed their positions. So why bring him back? The argument is, well, because there was a backlash. The backlash got him taken off the air in the first place. So again, what is the unique identifier? I'm going to go ahead and say the only discernible thing is the terror threats against ABC stations.
Oh, I'm sure it was
and a guy who opened fire on an ABC station.
Yeah, probably part of the
specifically
calculation.
citing Bob Iger and Dana Walden, who said, according to the Wall Street Journal, they feared for the safety of their staff. So if the affiliates haven't changed their position, how is this an FCC-related issue? ABC was looking at 23% of their stations, not even the major markets, New York, LA, and Chicago, unaffected. So ABC said a minority of our markets are upset. Let's cancel Jimmy Kimmel altogether. I don't think the issue...
Well, they didn't. They just indefinitely suspended his tenure, which means it could... Indefinite means there's no defined date. It could be one day or it could be a year.
What is the motivating factor? And I think it was, they said, you are going to make things worse. Right now, we are looking at a certain amount of affiliates and advertisers who are angry. You're going to make it worse. He just did. He just made it worse. I don't think this has anything to do with the FCC. Or I take that back. A little bit. But with all of the outcry and even Brendan Carr walking his statements back, what did he say? Something like, I shouldn't have made it seem that way or something like that?
Yeah, and the other thing that Brendan Carr brought up is that one of the things that they've been working on is the idea that for a long time now, affiliate stations have felt like they're being like stepped on by these national stations that have all this control over what gets aired, and preempting shows, which used to be something that they could do all the time, was something that has become less and less common. So what you're seeing right now is actually rare in current year, because for a long time, as the national stations like Disney have gotten bigger and bigger, they exert more control over these stations. So what Brendan Carr said, he said, we're giving the power back to these affiliates to be able to act as they see fit, act in the service of the people who watch their stations at the local level, not at the national level.
So one of the things you said is that Disney now can decide their network, like what time slot, what show goes on before your show, basically, and the affiliates have no say over that?
No, the affiliates do have a say over that. The affiliates have the ability to decide to preempt a show. If they want to take something off air because they feel that they can put like syndicated programming in there that will get them better views, right? They can do that. But for a long time, Disney has been, well, not just Disney, but any of these national level networks use the size of their platform to exert power over them to get them to not do that, because they want to be able to keep their ratings clean across the board. They want to be able to show their ratings for a show like Jimmy Kimmel in all markets, not just in one that's missing 23% of its audience. And that's not for things that have large scale controversies like this, but rather removing it for local events or local news.
Yeah, you mentioned, Mark, that this is like, it's supposed to be national airwaves. It's not supposed to be biased. It's not supposed to be having things that can...
It's supposed to be equal time.
It's the fairness factor, especially when it comes to anything political. And it's like that hasn't been in play for a long time. It was just sort of an understood thing. But for him to actually outright lie and paint half the country with this murderous brush, and then he was offered... you can make it right. You can come back and make a correction and an apology. And he could have, and it could have been sincere, but he didn't. He could have done that before he was canceled or before he was indefinitely suspended. And he said, absolutely not. I'm not doing it.
I will
So
push
it was
back.
not about a joke about Trump. It had nothing to do with Trump. It had to do with him telling a lie about half of the country.
I don't think it was a lie. He didn't lie, technically. He said... They're trying to say that he wasn't MAGA, which technically is true.
That is exactly
But we're saying he's not MAGA because he wasn't. So they were saying that.
Ian, have you ever bought a power balance
He already
bracelet?
knew he wasn't MAGA. He knew
Ian,
it.
have you ever bought a balance bracelet?
Negative.
No? I bet I could sell you all sorts of crystals, rocks.
Hey, man,
and
deception's not the same as lying. He deceived people. He didn't lie.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
it
did.
is.
No, he didn't lie. Come on, know the definition of the word
semantic
lie.
games,
I'm trying to
bro.
win the culture war. You're supposed to use semantics.
That was a lie.
It was a lie.
It was a deception.
Yeah.
Or he was insinuating that
Deceiving
maybe he
is
was
lying.
MAGA.
What is
Deceiving
okay?
is lying.
Listen,
No,
what
if
is
you
the difference?
deceive
If it doesn't fly with your girlfriend, it doesn't fly with the public. If you're gonna tell your girlfriend, right, I didn't lie to you, I deceived you, she's gonna be like, BS, you lied. You can't, like, these semantic.
You can
these
deceive
semantic,
people all sorts of
these
ways, man.
These semantic arguments don't mean anything to normal people.
They mean something to smart people.
Hang on, buddy.
And how many people
wait. Now,
qualify as smart
didn't we
people?
just hear Jasmine Crockett say you can commit a crime, but that doesn't make you a criminal?
Yes.
Okay, that's insanely stupid.
I agree.
Okay, so if you deceive someone, it's in the category of lying.
Other way around.
It is a sin. No,
Lying is in the category of deception.
deception and lying are they're in the, you know, whatever you want to call it, they're the same thing. If you lie, you're deceiving. If you're deceiving, you're lying.
There's a thing called lying by omission, and it's just it's not
It's
lying.
still
That's
a
why
lie.
it's its own.
No,
it's a type of deception, and it's
It's
by
lying by omission. Trust me,
I don't
it's a
understand
lie.
why we're arguing this. You're not helping anyone understand.
I just don't want to hear my friends say he lied when he didn't. I don't want to use wrong words right now. It's super important that we're accurate and articulate.
He did.
Well, I don't know. There's no point in like yelling yes, no, yes, no.
Shall I stay or shall I go?
When people talk about like the evils of the media now, they talk about the tactics they use to deceive as you say, the American people, which is the idea of, like, if we're talking about a news article, lie by omission, lie by structure. So if you want to hide the important information from somebody in an article, you put it in the last paragraph because you understand the average
How
person
about
doesn't make
I
it
just
to
read the definition?
There you go.
A statement made with the intent to deceive.
So
it's within the realm of you can do
Lied.
other things that can
okay,
deceive too.
let me give you an example, and you'll understand this, and everybody will understand this. My business partner, Mike, great guy. There was a point where I would drive to the studio in Chicago every day, and then we would drive home to the suburbs where we lived. And for some reason, we got into this contest of like seeing who could get home first. So one time I got home, I called him, and he wasn't home yet, and he was still in the car. And I said, I beat you home. And he goes, yeah, but did you have to stop and get gas first? And I'm like, oh gosh, he's right. I didn't.
I'm not saying pull it up. I'm just pointing
that was that was him deceiving me into thinking that he had stopped to get gas. But he was able to say, I never said I stopped to get gas. It's still a lie. Everyone knows at the playground that's a lie.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.